It's tournament season at First, and the next big one at Santa Anita, Gulfstream and Express Bet is the Ultimate Betting Challenge this Saturday, March the 2nd. The Ultimate Betting Challenge features every race at Gulfstream Park on Fountain of Youth Day and Santa Anita Park on Big Cap Day, making it a coast-to-coast betting extravaganza. Buy in for $6,000, $5,000 live bankroll, and compete against players from around the country for massive cash prizes and NHC seats. First, we'll seed 4 NHC seats to the prize pool, and all cash entry fees will be distributed back as prizes. At 150 players, that's $150,000 in cash prizes, plus those 4 NHC seats. Play in the UBC on site at Gulfstream or Santa Anita, or jump in online with ExpressBet. Head over to expressbet.com/tournaments for more information and to register to play. Hi everybody, Dan Illman, Mike Beer, the DRF race of the day for Saturday, March the 2nd, race number 14 at Gulfstream Park with Kentucky Derby qualifying points on the line in the Fountain of Youth. It's a grade 2. 400 grand are going a mile and a 16th with the short stretch at Gulfstream Park. 9 entered, 2 cross-entered on Friday in an allowance race. That could be key because one of them, the number 1 Speakeasy, was a very impressive debut winner and would take a lot of money in this race.
Yeah, he looked really good winning in fast time, first time out too, Dan. The Friday race is 9 furlongs. This one a mile and a 16th. He drew the rail here. It's got to be tempting for Pletcher to want to try him in the Fountain of Youth.
Todd says he's going to wait until the 11th hour to make his final decision, but by far, this is one of the better prep races we've seen this year. We throw up our Timeform US pace projector. We're expecting a fast pace with or without Speakeasy in the field. Victory Avenue, the horse that Speakeasy battled with in their career debuts, is also entered in this race. Dornock, the winner of the Remsen, who beat Sierra Leone, is quick. And if this pace is fast, you want to keep an eye on the number 8 Locked. The winner of the Grade 1 Breeders' Futurity is going to be running late.
Be interesting to see how the pace plays out, whether Speakeasy runs here or not, Dan. I mean, it could be fast. I don't know if it necessarily has to be. Dornock is kind of the key to this pace, though. Wasn't that professional as a 2-year-old, but he's fast when he wants to be.
Speakeasy made his debut last month on January the 27th, going 7/8 of a mile, and we'll take a look at that performance right now. He battled for the lead on the outside of Victory Avenue. They turn into the stretch together, and Speakeasy just seemed to be always going just a little bit better. A 100 Beyer speed figure for his career debut. Now he's going to have to navigate 2 turns while stepping way up in class and distance.
Yeah, he's fastest on the way in, though. Showed a lot of talent here, obviously. And again, drawing the rail is a big advantage in this kind of a race. I think you have to like, everything about his debut. Obviously, it was fast. He took on a hot first-time starter and really handled them pretty easily there, Dan. He was pretty impressive. I think the most shocking thing about the debut was he was always almost 9-1 for a Pletcher first-time starter that ran like that.
And then number 2 is Le Dambro. Only lifetime win came in one of those maiden auction races at Saratoga, going 3/4 of a mile last summer's race twice for this barn. No match for Dornock in the Remsen. Ran a little better last time out in the Swale, Mike, but has a lot to find stretching out. He could also be part of this pace.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a lot of improving to do here. We don't know how far he really wants to go either, Dan. He exits the Swale where, I mean, he ran fine in that race. No match for Frankie's Umpire, who's also back in here. They were the 2 longest shots on the board in that race. They completed the exacta.
Victory Avenue, the number 3, going out for last year's Kentucky Derby winning Connections. Showed big speed as the favorite in that race. Was very well hyped going in. Was a little bit green in the stretch, I thought. It took him a while to change leads, but heck, he ran a 97 Beyer in his career debut. He just happened to catch a good one. If Speakeasy's not in the race, he wins that by 5 and comes in here as the hottest horse on the planet.
Maybe that's true. I mean, that figure that he ran is good enough to win just about every maiden special weight, especially going 7 furlongs down. He just happened to bump into a good one there. He ran fine. He's got a lot of speed, obviously. He's by Arrogate, so there's a lot of sprint on the bottom of this pedigree, but he's by Arrogate, so you would hope that he would stretch out. It's pretty confident for them to enter him back in this race.
Real Macho is the number 4. This fella's won 2 out of his last 3 starts, including a big upset and a first-level allowance at Gulfstream on February the 3rd. He was 26-1 in this race, and he's got some work to do turning into the stretch, Mike, and somehow, some way, he's going to pull this one off.
He is going to get there ultimately in this race. It's a pretty good performance, Dan. Another step in the right direction for him. It was also on a cutback in distance, though, which I'll be honest with you, I don't really love that. They took the blinkers off here. It seemed to help him a little bit. They're going to stretch him back out now, obviously, in a way, way tougher race.
Dornoch, the number 5, has always had some hype around him, considering he's kin to Mage, who won last year's Kentucky Derby. It looks like he's put it all together. Here is his most recent victory, the Grade 2 Remsen. Now, this was over a muddy track, and you wanted to be on or near the lead this day. Dornoch had to battle for the lead early. He's turning into the stretch, and he kind of bounces himself off the rail there when trying to change leads. And it looks like he's beat when Sierra Leone comes on the outside, but Dornoch comes back gamely. Was it the rail that carried him, or is this just a good horse? I think it's a combination of both, leaning towards the latter.
Yeah, I think he's just a good horse. Here, maybe the runner-up here hangs a little bit too after he passed him, but still, that's a good horse that he comes back and beats. The thing is, I get that it was, a pretty intensely speed favoring track that day. This horse went fast. I mean, that was a really fast pace. That horse that he turned away at the end came from way out of it. The third place finisher came from way out of it. They're both good horses. The fourth place finisher came from way out of it. This horse did all of the racing in that race. He still has no idea what he's doing out on the racetrack, but he is talented.
Second and third place finishers, of course, came back to win Kentucky Derby points races in their subsequent starts. Can he rate is kind of the big question of this race, Mike, because with the speed to his inside, there's a chance that if he relaxes early, he could settle into a great trip tracking 3 wide or so.
It is kind of a big question for him. I think he's going to be able to do it, Dan. He was a little bit headstrong early in his earlier races last year, but he seems like a horse who I don't feel like he has to be on the lead. That Remsen was a case where they wanted the lead. They sent him from the start. I don't know if they have to ride him that way.
Merritt is the number 6. He is also cross-centered in that Salty Allowance race on Friday that drew Speakeasy as well. Debut winner going gate to wire, going 7/8 last fall at Gulfstream Park. Came off a little bit of a layoff in a first-level allowance, going a 1-turn mile. Showed speed, tired. That was the race that we saw Real Macho win. I think he's got to do a little better in this spot.
Yeah, that was a race that sort of fell apart as we saw in that replay, the most recent start. He didn't run terribly in there. It's a really tough race for this horse, Dan. Stepping up, stretching out again against this field, and just his third lifetime start. I mean, he has to get a lot better, and he's got to take the Lasix off for this too.
Well, number 7 is Frankie's Empire. He's the only 4-time winner in this field. He's won 3 out of his last 4. All of those races were sprinting, but maybe you give him the mulligan for the muddy track defeat. 3 starts back. Here's his win in the Swale last time out, going 7/8 of a mile. All in all, I'm not sure about the overall quality of the Swale this year. This horse was tactical enough, though, to work out his own trip, and he's getting away from him at the end.
Yeah, he runs okay in here. You're right. I'm not sure this was the strongest field, and he was a pretty big price in here, but he just sat up close 4 wide around the track. The horse that's going to get up for second, who's also in here, just sat on the rail the entire way and was really no match for this horse. He ran pretty well last time.
Locked was very game to win the Breeders' Futurity in his first start around 2 turns. Third lifetime start. He made a big wide move turning into the stretch, and a pretty gutsy New York bred. The Wine Steward fought him off for a little while until the 16th pole when Lock just found another gear. Breeders' Cup Juvenile last time out, that pace was just not there for Lock, who at this point seems like he is somewhat dependent on pace and trip. He was running that last 3/16 of a mile.
He really did put in a good finish at the Breeders' Cup. I mean, I guess you could argue he was a little disappointing in there as the favorite. I was just most disappointed then that, as you've already sort of mentioned, it wasn't a blazing pace. And this horse was just sort of outrun early. They weren't like flying in front of him, and he was last in the early stages. I did like the way he finished. I liked all 3 of his starts before that. I think there's an argument to be made that he was as good as any 2-year-old in this crop last year.
Yeah, of course, the Juvenile produced 3 next out winners. We'll see how he does with the short stretch if he's outrun early, but the pace should be solid at least. Dancing Groom completes this field. They ran him in the Holy Bull last time out behind Hades, and 2-year-old Champion Fierceness was in there, and he just didn't do much running. He was wired in a relatively slow-paced race if you want to give him another chance, but we've seen Dancing Groom. We've seen him in the Champagne and the Kentucky Jockey Club. He's got to do more.
Yeah, they've run him in 3 graded stakes races. He's beaten over 30 lengths combined in those 3 races. Just has not been competitive when they've stepped him up in class.
Before we take a look at our top selections, please click the subscribe button on the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel for the latest DRF videos. Coast-to-coast action this week with Kentucky Derby qualifying points races at Aqueduct, Santa Anita, and of course right here at Gulfstream, where we take a look at our top selections for the Fountain of Youth. We're going with Dornoch. I have a feeling he grew up over the winter, Mike. A good trip is coming. He'll be right there turning for home.
Yeah, he showed a lot of potential last year. Hopefully he can maybe start putting everything together now, Dan, if he gets the right trip in here. I think he's going to be pretty tough. It looks like he's training pretty well for this race. I just like everything that he did last year. I think there could be a good trip coming here.
Curious to see if Speakeasy is the goods, expecting him to take advantage of that inside post, go right to the front, and we'll see how far he can take him. Perhaps the short stretch can help. If he scratches, I think it could set up for Locked, who I still think's pretty good. Remember, though, the Locked had a chance to run the Sam F. Davis. A temperature knocked him out, so this is kind of plan B for Pletcher. 5813 for Mike, 1835 for me. It's the Grade 2 Fountain of Youth on a sensational Saturday afternoon card at Gulfstream. Good luck.